Today we're going to talk about the best mirrorless camera for YouTube in 2018, and yes, it is going to be an awesome video. And you notice a lot of times I have a lot of cameras here, but there's no need now. I don't want to cause any confusion. I only have one here. This is the Sony a6500. And before I get all those haters, hear me out. You got to watch the whole video to the end because I know there's some other cameras that cost a little bit less. But listen, if you hear me to the end, you understand why this camera is the best mirrorless camera for YouTube in 2018, but you gotta watch the whole thing. Before I get too deep into it, you don't have to believe me. You should never believe me. Actually, never trust me, but verify me. The great people over at LensRental.com made me an affiliate partner, which just means you save money. 15% to be exact. Go there, find this camera, find some other cameras. Before you buy, you better try. Go to LensRentals.com, fill up your cart, type in the coupon code AKIN15, and save yourself 15% before you make yourself a stupid decision and get the wrong camera. Quickly getting into it, the first thing you gotta talk about with this camera is the ISO. There's a lot of cameras out there that can do well in low light, but this one does very well. Comparatively speaking, for how much it does cost, it's not an A7S, which is really the only good low light camera out there right now. This camera has the ability to go places that other cameras that cost more than it go. Sony does just such a fantastic job of needing a little bit of light to function. You're gonna find a point around 6400 probably where you're like, yeah, let's maybe not go any higher, maybe turn on some lights or maybe wait until the sun comes back up. But 6400, you can understand for a camera of this price point, for a mirrorless, for a crop sensor, this is incredible stuff. Earlier today I was messing around with the Sony RX100 Mark VI. It also, for the price point, it does very well, but this just does twice as well because that camera will stop around 3200, or that's at least where you should stop. It could go a lot higher than that. For this kind of camera, 6400 is amazing. Trust me. Another reason why I like this camera for YouTube is because its ability to interchange lenses. A lot of other cameras around this price point that cost a little bit less maybe than this, you spend a couple more bucks, you could get an interchangeable lens camera. That's a big deal. Why? Because you could grow into the camera. If you got like a Sony RX100 Mark VI, you can't change the lens. You're stuck with that lens forever. And in this case, I have the 10 to 18 on here for that extra wide angle lens. And you need that if you're a YouTuber, especially if you're a vlogger or anything where the camera's close to you, or if you like making everything seem bigger than it really is. This is very much like my 16 to 35 millimeter. It's super duper uber wide. It is amazing. But that's the great thing about this camera is that if you do get this camera, you can change the lenses out. Unlike some other cameras that cost almost just as much. Another thing that this camera does amazingly and so much more better than my expensive cameras like the one I'm recording me on right now is autofocus, okay? Now, if you do this for a living, if you make videos for a living like I do, you don't use a whole bunch of auto anything. But when you're YouTubing, you don't got time to focus. Now for this camera, I always pull focus. I have an exact focus. I know my face cannot pass here. That's why I try to stay here. With this camera, its ability to focus is so much better than my A7S Mark II. Quick focus. I love it for that. And that's a necessity as a YouTuber. Most YouTubers I know a lot of YouTubers, they use auto everything in fact. They don't even know that manual mode exists in most cases. I know some people with like 5 million subscribers and they didn't know what the M meant until I told them. And a lot of them use this camera right here. Now I should have disclosed here in the beginning that, if you are using this camera for YouTube, if this is something you want to do, you want to take this seriously, this is the camera. So this is if you want to take it serious. Anything else other than this, honestly, y'all just start with your cell phone. The other amazing reason this is good for YouTube is because it does have manual mode. Now, most all cameras have manual mode, but it's the way that these cameras do it. These cameras, these size cameras are the first level up when manual mode becomes like an actual manual mode, like on a professional camera, like the one that's filming me now. It's hardly any different than the cameras I use day in, day out. Could I use this camera to make money? Absolutely I could. But when you are doing those more serious shoots, when you know where somebody's gonna be, when you do have controlled lighting, when you're not moving around the camera, when you're not holding it like this and moving in every single direction, changing the light, changing the white balance every 3.5 seconds, you wanna go everything manual. If you want it to look the best, if you want companies to represent you, if you ever want companies to pay you, if you ever just, I don't know why else you would do this. I guess just for fun. I really just do this for fun. So if you just wanna do this for fun and look good, manual mode's the way to go because you control everything and control is key. Now here we are, we're getting to the nitty gritty, we're getting to the good stuff. This is the stuff, this is the reason that you wanna get this camera. These are the main reasons why you wouldn't wanna get maybe one of these cameras and you'd wanna get this camera right here. And these cameras being the ones below it. This is one of the first cameras that have the microphone mount. If you buy a point and shoot, you're not getting a microphone mount most likely. This camera has it. Of course, the A6300 has it as well, but there's still some advantages of this camera. But let's talk about the microphone. When filming anything, there's only a few things that are key. You know, there's a lot of things, but there's a few core things you really gotta begin with, and it's always lighting and audio. Good audio is a good thing to have if you wanna make good videos. Lighting for me is key. That's why I have 20 foot of windows sitting in front of me right now to give that natural light right on me to make me look as beautiful as possible, because it's actually pretty hard to make this beautiful. And then the next thing for me is always audio. Audio is key. Being able to put a shotgun microphone on this, because the internal microphones on all of them, if you want to compare them, go ahead, have fun, but they're all not good. But with a shotgun microphone on it, or the ability to hook up a boom mic to it, like the one that's above me right now, that is superb and almost a necessity as a YouTuber. That's if you want to take it serious though. This is the key point right here, the reason why you'd want to move to this camera from the A6300. If you know any YouTubers, most of the time they don't stand still. Most of the time if you are a YouTuber and you're walking around, you're looking at the camera, but you're not staying stationary, it's not on a tripod, it's in your hand, and you know who you are, because that's most of you. When you're doing that, it needs to be stable. Forgot to hold the camera in my hand while I was talking about it. It's right here, it's right here, I'll set it down. This camera here has 5-axis stabilization. That means it's going to be constantly stabilizing your image as you're moving around and you're doing all that stuff looking through the eye hole of the glass. And you need that extra stabilization as much as you can. In a previous video, here, somewhere, I spoke about, hey, why don't you just get A6300 and you can get a stabilizer instead? It's the same amount of money. Yes, that's true. But did you ever hold a stabilizer and trying to film yourself? I know I have, and it hurts a lot. You know that most of you people out there aren't gonna be doing something like that. So having that internal stabilization is key if this is something that's serious for you. And if you're still watching this video, I'm guessing you're serious. Good, nod your head. Be like, I'm serious. This is, in my heart and in my brain, one of the best mirrorless cameras out there right now. I advise you, again, don't trust me. Go ahead, rent yourself one, lensrentals.com, use the coupon code AKIN15, save yourself some money, and check it out for yourself before you buy it. If you guys want me to do a more in-depth view of this camera, if you want me to look at some other cameras, comment below, grab a link from lensrentals.com, paste it in there, say, Brian, review this camera or compare this camera. I'd love to do it for you. But in the meanwhile, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and make sure you stay focused.